The rain drummed softly on the glass canopy of the Royal Sapphire Hotel as a black limousine stopped at the entrance. No one rushed out to open the door, no red carpet was rolled out, and no manager hurried forward with forced smiles. That was exactly how Adrian Knight wanted it. Billionaire, owner of the hotel chain, one of the most influential businessmen in the country, but today, he didn't want a single soul to know who he was. He stepped out dressed in simple jeans, a gray hoodie, and an old duffel bag slung over his shoulder. His security team had begged him not to do this, but Adrian had made up his mind. The hotels in his chain had been receiving too many complaints lately: bad management, rude staff, sloppy service. He wanted the truth, not the polished reports sent to his office. And the best way to get the truth was to become a guest. So Adrian walked into his own hotel, anonymous, invisible, and ready to see how his empire was being treated from the inside. The lobby shimmered with expensive chandeliers, but despite its beauty, something felt off. A couple stood at the reception desk, arguing with the clerk about their booking while the clerk hissed back rudely. No one offered them help. A guest sitting in the corner tried asking housekeeping for fresh towels, only to be told, "Wait, we're busy," before the staff walked away. Adrian's jaw tightened. This was not how he trained his employees. He approached the reception desk, and the clerk lifted his eyes lazily. "Name, Adam Stone," Adrian replied with a smile. "One night stay." The clerk tapped his keyboard with irritation, then shoved a keycard toward him without meeting his eyes. "Room 1105. Next." Adrian took the keycard quietly, observing everything. Polished floors, yes. Luxury architecture, yes. But warmth, humanity, completely missing. Something in his chest tightened. He built this hotel chain with pride, yet it looked like the soul of it had been drained while he was busy expanding the empire. Upstairs, his room was neat but poorly cleaned. Dust sat under the lamp, and a hairbrush lay under the bed. He made a mental note but didn't call the management. He wasn't here to complain. He was here to watch. He placed his bag on the chair and pulled out a notebook. For years, his assistants prepared reports for him, but today he would write his own. He scribbled down whatever he observed, and for the first time in years, he felt like a real businessman again, hands-on, connected, present. After an hour, he decided to walk the corridors. That's when he saw her. A young maid, barely in her early 20s, was struggling with a bulky housekeeping cart. She pushed it forward, but the wheel wobbled and got stuck every few seconds. She sighed, bent down, fixed it, then pushed again. Something about her caught his attention. Maybe her simplicity, maybe her tired but determined expression. Her uniform was old, not replaced like it should have been. Her shoes were torn at the back. Yet she continued working without complaint. Adrian approached slowly. "Need help?" She looked up, startled, then smiled shyly. "Oh, no, sir, it's okay. I'm used to it." He raised a brow. "Used to it? Doesn't the hotel provide new equipment?" She hesitated before answering. "It used to, but not anymore. The new supervisor says budget is tight." Adrian's eyes darkened. "Budget? How?" He pumped millions into maintenance every year. "What's your name?" he asked. "Mira," she replied politely. "I'm the newest maid here." Her voice was soft, but there was strength in it. Before he could ask more, her supervisor's sharp voice echoed down the hall. "Mira, why are you chatting with guests? How many times have I told you to stop wasting time?" The woman approached like a storm. Adrian stepped back slightly to maintain his disguise, and Mira lowered her head. "I'm sorry, ma'am, the cart got stuck. Excuses." The supervisor snapped. "You're the slowest worker we've ever hired. Finish 2 more floors before your shift ends, or don't bother showing up tomorrow." Adrian felt a surge of anger. He opened his mouth to intervene, but Mira gently shook her head, almost pleading with him not to. The supervisor marched away with thunder in her steps. When she disappeared, Mira exhaled shakily and pushed the cart again. "Are you okay?" Adrian asked quietly. She nodded, though her eyes glistened. "This is just life, sir. Some people shout because they can. Some of us listen because we have to. But don't worry, I'll be fine." There was something raw in her voice, an honesty that burned deeper than anything he'd heard in a long time. Adrian walked with her for a bit, helping her straighten towels when no one was watching. She kept smiling even through exhaustion. And that smile unsettled him. He had met CEOs, ministers, global leaders, but not one had the sincerity this young maid had in her smallest gesture. Later that evening, Adrian went down to the staff cafeteria. He kept his hood on to avoid attention. He sat at a corner table, observing quietly. The staff looked exhausted. The food was bland. But then Mira walked in, still smiling despite her long shift. She took a small portion of food, sat alone, and began eating quietly. A group of senior staff laughed loudly at another table, mocking guests, making jokes about poor service, bragging about how they skipped tasks and hid complaints from the head office. Adrian's pen nearly broke from how hard he pressed it in frustration. Then, he heard it. One of them, wearing a badge labeled housekeeping supervisor, laughed and said loudly, "You know what I told that new maid today? If she doesn't work like a machine, she's out. These poor girls will do anything for a job." Adrian's blood boiled, but before he could react, Myra's soft voice rose from her table, and what she said shook him to his core. "One day," she said calmly, "this hotel will have a boss who actually cares about people again. Someone who sees us as human beings. And that day, those who treat others badly will finally learn respect." Her colleagues turned to stare. Adrian froze. She had no idea she was speaking about him. And yet, every word felt like a knife, because she was right. He had built this empire to give people opportunity. But somewhere along the way, he became distant, relying on managers who corrupted the culture, and staff who forgot compassion. He watched her take a small bite of her food, her eyes full of quiet hope, and guilt chewed at his heart. When she got up to return to work, he followed her discreetly. Mira walked into an empty corridor and leaned against the wall for a moment. She closed her eyes as if fighting tears. "Please, just a little strength," she whispered to herself. "I need this job for Mom's surgery. I can do this." Adrian felt something shift inside him. He stepped forward. "Mira," she startled, wiping her eyes quickly. "Oh, sir, I'm sorry. I didn't know anyone was here. You don't deserve to be spoken to the way they speak to you," he said softly. "You work harder than all of them combined." She forced a small smile. "Thank you, but it doesn't matter. Poor people don't get to complain." He shook his head. "Don't say that. People like you hold this place together." Her eyes widened slightly, surprised by the kindness. The next morning, Adrian dressed not as a guest but as himself. A tailored suit, polished shoes, and the authority of a man who owned half the skyline. His real identity spread through the hotel like wildfire within minutes. Senior staff came running to greet him, suddenly full of fake smiles. The same supervisor who insulted Mira now bowed repeatedly. "Mr. Knight, if only we knew you were visiting, sir. We would have prepared." "Stop," Adrian said coldly. They froze. He called all staff, every chef, every cleaner, every clerk, every manager, into the ballroom. Mira stood at the back, confused but alert. Adrian stepped onto the stage, his gaze sweeping the room. "I came here as a guest," he began firmly, "to see how this hotel is being run. And what I witnessed disgusted me." A ripple of shock went through the hall. He continued, voice sharp. "Rude staff, neglected guests, terrible management, and worst of all, people being treated like dirt." His eyes locked on the supervisor. "You," he said, "step forward." The woman trembled. "Sir, I can explain." "There is nothing to explain. You are fired, effective immediately." Gasps filled the room. Adrian wasn't finished. "And anyone who has abused their position, mistreated a guest, or disrespected a hard-working employee, your time here is over today." Panic broke out among the guilty ones. Fear spread across their faces. Then Adrian's tone softened slightly. "But there are people here who work with honesty and dignity despite everything. People who deserve recognition." His eyes moved toward Mira. "Mira Khan, please come forward." Mira froze in shock. People parted as she walked slowly to the stage, hands trembling. She had no idea why she was being called. Adrian smiled warmly. "Yesterday, I saw you work harder than anyone here. I saw your kindness, your honesty, your courage." Mira swallowed nervously. "Sir, I was just doing my job." "No," Adrian said. You were doing what this hotel should stand for. He turned to the audience. Mira represents the values this place has forgotten. Then he looked at her again, eyes gentle. From today, you are promoted to Guest Experience Officer. A new role, created specifically to ensure every staff member is treated with dignity and every guest with kindness. And you will report directly to me. Myra's eyes flooded with tears. Sir, why me? He smiled. Because you reminded me why I built this company in the first place. The room erupted in applause, sincere for the first time. After the ceremony, when everyone had left, Mira approached him quietly. Sir, thank you. I don't know what to say. Adrian looked at her thoughtfully. Just keep being who you are. You changed this hotel in one day, more than any manager has in years. She blushed, lowering her gaze. Adrian added softly, and you changed me too. Myra's heart skipped, but she said nothing. That evening, as he prepared to leave, Adrian paused in the doorway. Mira stood by the reception desk, greeting guests with the brightest smile. For the first time in a long while, Adrian felt at peace. But as he stepped out into the cool night air, he realized something. He didn't just admire her. He cared for her, and this was only the beginning.